more perfect the person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. No mortal is capable of keeping a secret. If his lips are silent, his fingertips speak. Betrayal oozes from him through every pore. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. A busy man is seldom visited by idle friends. One day in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, and never so helplessly unhappy as when we lose the object of love or his love. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. Every normal person is really only partly normal. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. The energetic and successful man is the one who succeeds in transforming the fantasies of desire into reality. A joke makes it possible to satisfy a lustful or hostile instinct, despite an obstacle in its path. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is that you in the past, and the only person better you should be is who you are now. The most important part of your life is to understand yourself from the inside. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Happiness is a child's dream fulfilled in maturity. No flies fly to a boiling pot. Love and work, work and love. That's all there is. All people are born bisexual and later choose their sexual orientation depending on their life circumstances. Time spent with cats is never wasted. The voice of the intellect is quiet, but it never tires of repeating, and listeners are found. People in general are insincere in sexual matters. They do not openly display their sexuality, but rather hide it by putting on a tight coat zone from a matter called lie, as if it were bad weather in the world of sexual relations. Who lacks sex speaks about sex. Hungry talks about food. A person who has no money about money. And our oligarchs and bankers talk about morality. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. The best is always the enemy of the good. The first human, who hurled an insult instead of a stone, was the founder of civilization. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or the deepest despair. Depression is a frozen fear. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. Everyone owes nature and death. Maturity is the ability to postpone gratification. We adults don't understand children because we don't understand our own childhood anymore. Religion is a universal compulsive neurosis. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. The first indication of stupidity is a complete lack of shame. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. History is just new people making old mistakes. We do not randomly choose each other. We meet only those who already exist in our subconscious. A father's death is the most important event, the most heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. At a woman's breast, love and hunger are crossed. Recognizing a problem is half the success in solving it. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. Only the complete absence of sex can be considered a sexual deviation. Everything else is a matter of taste. In the small matters, trust the mind, and the large ones, trust the heart. A man is sometimes more generous when he has little money than when he has much, perhaps to keep from thinking he has none at all. We seek more to take suffering away from ourselves than to gain pleasure. Nothing costs so much in life as illness and ignoring an illness. We are so made that we can only derive intense enjoyment from a contrast and only very little from a state of things. People are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. The secret of the human soul lies in the psychic dramas of childhood. Get to the bottom of these dramas and healing will come. Masturbation is one of the primary abodes, the primary addiction. Subsequent addictions, alcohol, tobacco, morphine, are only its substitutes. All family life is organized around the most damaged person in it. Envy is destructive. Don't be tempted by it. Live by your own rules. Without love, we fall ill. All adaptation is partial death, the disappearance of a particle of individuality. Perfect, eternal, hate-purified love exists only between the addict and the drug. There is no need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. A woman will never want sex with a man who doesn't get her hints. Avoid women who talk a lot about sex because often they have gotten a psychological breakdown from the lack of it. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. When people marry, they no longer live for each other as they did before. They live with each other for some 1/3, and dangerous rivals soon appear for the husband, the household, and the nursery. We enter the world with loneliness and lonely leave it. A husband is almost always only a substitute for the beloved man, and not this man himself. Limitation in the possibility of enjoyment raises the value of the enjoyment. You do not stop looking for strength and confidence outside, but you should look inside yourself. They have always been there.